All right, let's get started.
Alrighty, so this call we are talking about effective closing skills, and that's closing in any setting. So I reviewed some of my favorite YouTube videos about this from some different leaders, including anyone that's like outside of Young Living. Reviewed the information. Actually, there's several videos in the executive training from Vital 180 on this. And so I isolated as I was listening to those a few key points that they were talking about. And one of the overall things that came up at least a couple times in it, or even when they were going through it, was that, when it comes to closing, I think in our brain, when we talk about closing, we think, what do I need to say out of my mouth to get this person to make the sell? But on a couple of the videos, one thing that they were very clear about was to remember that a lot of the things you do at the beginning throughout of the class really affect whether someone is going to accept your closing, and that even your close can happen after the class because it may happen in the follow-up due to the fact that we have to get it through our heads that most decisions are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So if you have a class and you have 10 people show up and you only have one kit sale, that's not necessarily a failure or a lack of closing skills. It just may be that was only exposure number 1, 2, or 3, and you need to make sure that right after that class, you send a video about the benefits of the kit to every person. So that's another exposure, and that you set up a follow-up with them so you have at least 2 more exposures. And if you start to remember these things, overall, your closing rate will probably go up. So just diving into some of the videos and some of the key things that I got out of them. One of the things is to remember that they came knowing you would have something to sell, right? So if we remind ourselves of that in the beginning, like if they got invited to a purse party or a wrap party or an oil party and they came because they're your friend, they knew that at some point in time somebody was going to say something about the sale. So it's okay and it's natural to ask for the sale. One thing that came up in every single video that I was reviewing is to communicate the value of the kit. One of the things that, let me see if I wrote down the actual quote that, I think Grant Cardone said. He said that a sale is made when the perceived value of something is greater than the price. So it's really our job to communicate the value of the kit. One of the videos that I saw was just a really short video where she makes sure that she physically shows them the actual kit, right? Make sure that they know when I'm talking about the difference between retail and the membership. I pull up and I show them, so you can spend $160 and you can get these 10 oils retail. Or you can spend $160 and you can get these oils, you can get the diffuser for free, you get the education material, you get plugged into my Facebook group where you're going to have a lot of leaders. So make sure it's very clear, not that you're just saying the words out of your mouth, but you visually show them, here, you get double the stuff if you just get your membership. One of the other things is to make sure that we're already mentioning that you have an opportunity to get your oils for free, right? So a lot of times one of the objection is price. If it's the beginning of the month, that person can have their own home party before the end of the month, and they can get 2 to 4 signups, and they can get part of their kit paid for free by the check that comes the next month. So a lot of us that started out saying, I don't want to sell, we have to get that out of our mindset and give everybody the opportunity to make that decision. Don't take that decision away from them. Let them know, every single person, whether it's a one-on-one or if it's a class, you have the opportunity to share these blessings with your mom, your sister, your brother, your cousins, so they can get educated and come on this journey with you and get your kit paid for free. One other thing was share your personal story. Make sure you're communicating the wellness, the purpose, and abundance. Use one of the other videos, and I'll share all these videos with you guys. One of the major things that we have is that we get caught up with the objections, and so make sure that you're communicating your story and using the feel, felt, found method to let them know that you actually relate to them. And it could be your story, or it could be somebody else's story. So when a person is coming up with the objection of price, if you're a person like myself who didn't have the money to buy their kit the day that they went to that class, I know exactly how you feel. I didn't have $200 just sitting in the bank every single day, but what I found out was that the oils were worth it. And so I made sure on my next check to get that. If it's a person who already buys the oils from their local health food store, I know exactly how you feel. My leader on my team, Leah, her family owns health food stores, so it didn't make any sense for her to spend any money when she could get the oils for free. But she found out that these oils were not in comparison, or, just whatever story that you can relate. Let them know that what they say, you understand, you relate to it. Whatever they say, the answer is excellent. Let's continue the conversation from there. One of the longest videos that I saw on closing, which was really interesting to me, it was 35 minutes long talking about closing. And she brought out a lot of things that she attempts to do. And she was one of the key people that talked about how you got to remember the closing is not magic words that you have at the end. The closing happens all along the way. One of the things that she does is she makes sure to put the price at the beginning. And the reason why is because what happens a lot of times is you're going through your class and people are like writing, they're like, oh yeah, I need stress away. Oh yeah, I need this. I need this. And sometimes people will be like, oh, I need it all. And it's clear, but a lot of times they won't. A lot of times they will think, I don't need everything in a kit. I kind of want that diffuser. I want that pan away, and I want that stress away. Or I need that lavender, and I need that lemon, and I need stress away, and I need the diffuser. So then they've written down all the stuff that they want, and then we tell them the price at the end, and automatically in their head, before we've told them the value of the kit, they think, oh, well, but I don't need all that. So why would I spend that money to get all that? But if you were to tell them the price at the beginning, and they're already like, okay, it's going to be $180. Okay, got that. And then you start to rattle off all the stuff that they need, and they say, oh, I need these 4 things. And then you come and you tell them the value of how, you can only get 10 of those things for retail for that price. You won't be able to get the diffuser, or you could get all this other bonus stuff basically free. Then it's more logical and makes sense. You're not trying to convince them of the value of not only of just getting those 3 things versus this. They'll see it a lot more clear. Some of the other things that were mentioned in the Vital 180 videos, and she really touched on in this video, was use humor, smile a lot, eye contact, confidence, making sure you have posture. Those are things that when in our head we're afraid of selling or we're afraid of closing, that we start losing and not doing. And so practice doing that all the time. She was saying it's only instilled through practice. So like everywhere you go, try to make eye contact with strangers. Try to smile while you're explaining whatever. Even if you feel a little bit upset, try smiling more. Try to use humor. And then you'll naturally do that in your classes, and it will communicate confidence and posture to individuals. Make them want what you have really bad, right? And going back to that, making sure that they understand the value, making sure you are communicating your love and how much these things have changed your life and why everyone else needs it. Communicate why you invited them there. Ask questions continue to ask questions. Don't just continue to just talk towards the end trying to convince more and more. Ask questions as to, such as, what exactly did you like best? How can you see this helping your family? Who else can you share this with? Get them thinking. Always be as natural and loving as possible. One of the things that was really key that she said, have a flip kit. And we've seen this time and time again. We have seen that when we pull out the kit and say, hey, you can take this home right now, it makes people make decisions. It actually makes them make decisions. And then other people will follow like that. You'll have like 5 people at the class and be like, I have 2 to 3 kits for you to take home today. First come, first serve. And then everybody will get their kit. They'll be like, oh, I'm not one of the first ones. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll get it anyways. And again, she mentioned in this one, the closing is everything. It is the entire class several times. She also talked about making sure you get people saying yes to the things that you're saying throughout the class. So like we just had the class about sleep, right? And asking questions during the class, like, wouldn't you agree everyone needs to get better quality sleep? Having all those questions throughout gets them to agree over and over and over. And so then when you get to the end of your class and the response is, well, getting this stuff here is going to help solve those things that you agreed to, it's far more likely that they'll be just ready to purchase the kit. Have a better understanding of their needs and educate them, not where you want them to go, but where they want to go. So there's a lot of times in the beginning, we invite people to our classes and we think, oh, this person would be awesome at selling because they know so many people and I saw them, do their woodworking or whatever. Or this person would be awesome because they're just so into natural health. Their whole family is into natural health. But they might not be there yet. So you clearly have to understand what they want. Do they just want to purchase a kit? And then we need to educate them on the benefits of essential rewards. And then once they fall in love, then they want to share. If that's where they're at, then that's where you need to leave them at. You can't push people into another level that they're not at. Stop talking and ask questions. Again, don't try to convince people. Just keep asking questions or try to draw them out. One of the things that was said in a couple of videos, and I was just trying to communicate it in a way that doesn't make a certain personality sound better. Like they will say all the time, if you're not closing, maybe you don't have enough posture, or remember that they're joining you. And I'm like, when they say that, sometimes it kind of makes people that are introverted feel bad. What I was thinking of it this way: if you're an introverted person, you get your personality out there. Like people see who you are and they get more of an opportunity to like you because you're putting you out there. So when you're introverted, you don't put yourself out there as much. They don't. So when we're saying that like they're not joining because they join you, they don't join the products. Possibly if you're an introverted person, that means that it doesn't mean that they don't like you less because of your personality. It means that they see you less. And so that's why we got to go back to those skills of eye contact and smiling more and all those other skills that are going to create that bond with the person so that they can see your true self and then want to join with you. Lead the conversation again when you're sitting down, if it's a one-on-one and it's towards the end, or if you're in a group setting and you start to break off, if you have more than one person there and you're breaking off with them, ask what did they like best and lead the conversation. Try to gauge their hesitation. I know that in the Vital 180, they say on a scale from 1 to 10, that just doesn't sound like me and it doesn't really sound natural to me. So I've never really used that question, but do something to gauge where their hesitation is so that you can lead them into that feel, felt, found conversation. Again, show them the money, make everything clear. One of the videos, they're just stressing over and over again. People do like clear, direct. Like when we start beating around the bush for 15 minutes about stuff, that's actually when we're starting to lose credibility. And then one of the things that Grant Cardone was, repeat the offer. If you need to repeat the offer, repeat the offer. Again, going back to there's several exposures that have to happen in order for people to make the sale. Make sure that you repeat the offer if necessary. Alrighty, so those were the tips and tricks that I had from, again, I watched like 5 different videos and redid the stuff from executive training, and I will share those videos. So if anyone else wanted to grab some of the important points or share other points or express some of the things they had to work through based on their personality.
So I'll add a few things. I was just going to say, for me personally, I know closing is not my strong suit. So something that I'm continuously working through. Even when I first started doing classes, like I would have a house full of people and I would go upstairs and hope that somebody else would start the class while I just stayed up there. For me, I know it just took a little bit to kind of really understand, but for me, I had to first work on my belief, because for me, it felt like a lot of money. So then that's what came off when I'm closing. To me, I'm like, oh, well, you probably can't afford this. So, and then I downplay what it is. So I do think it's important to make sure, one, like your belief level, like you truly do believe, like this is honestly going to be the best value and it's going to be the best choice for the people that you're with. And I do like Nicole Perez. She actually had a few videos that she did. And one thing that I do like what she was saying, because she has one that's like, I read by the script, but she's like, make sure you're there early to your classes so that you can sit down and get to know your people. So then you understand their needs. And so throughout your teaching, throughout the class, if you're like, hey, I talked to one lady, she has kids, one of her problems is she can't get those kids to go to sleep at night. They're always getting sick during, whatever. So then when you're teaching at that point, you can kind of be like, hey, Sally, lavender is going to be one that you're going to absolutely love for your kids. Like, and then you can probably put in like a story of your own. This is how I use lavender with my kids, or this is how I use lavender to relax my body. So that way, it's more personable and they can see themselves actually using it and utilizing it. Like Sally, and then when you have that diffuser in your children's room and they're sleeping to that lavender and the stress away, like they're just going to get the most amazing sleep. So that was one thing that I started really trying to implement, especially being that I'm more introverted. So if I can do a one-on-one conversation with people and kind of understand their needs before I'm teaching, and that way I can kind of incorporate that while I'm reading my script and teaching, it seems to help a little bit better for me. There was one other thing I wanted to add. I don't remember.
Well, while you think of that, I just wanted to iterate a few things. I like, I think it's actually Sarah Harnish talks about it in the game plan book. When you're closing, just remember that, we don't have a sales mentality. And so, a lot of people, they run for the hills because, think about like the car salesman, like why people don't like car salesmen is because they have a bad reputation for not being honest and not getting all the information out of there. And then they also have a reputation for being pushy. So when you say no, they're like, oh, come on, but you need this, and they keep pushing and pushing and pushing until, you either walk away in disgust or you cave and take home this car that you never wanted in the first place. So the same thing applies when it comes to closing for classes. I know me personally, I'm definitely the type of person, like, I don't like being pushed into making a decision. Like, I have to feel like I've made my own personal decision. And for me to do that, like, I have to have all the information so like Sashina was saying, also, lay it out there for them. What are they getting? What is going to be the benefits for them and their family? And then allow them to make the decision. So instead of asking questions like, do you want this? Or telling them, hey, you need this, some people may not respond well to that. So think about, how can I take what I have and help them? So use questions like, does this sound like something that might benefit you and your family? You know, once you lay it out there and get the person to think, you know, and remind them that of the things that they said that they were dealing with. So Dana used the example of someone named Sally who was having trouble getting her kids to sleep. So when you say, does this sound like something that would benefit you and your family? I know you were struggling with getting your kids to sleep. You know, lavender is great for that, as well as, you know, blah, 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 blah. Does that sound like something you'd like to do? And then allow them to tell you either yes or no. And if it's no, then find out what the objection is, because if it's no, then probably we just haven't built enough value for them to fully understand the benefit of it. Because the reality is everyone needs what we have, but they may not know that they need it, you know. So if it's, let's say the objection is price, you know, well, I don't have the money right now. Okay, so when do you see yourself getting started? Or what can I do to help get the oils in your home? And like Tashina mentioned, a great way to do that is have them host a party and lay that out for them as an option, so that they can still make the decision whether it's what they want to do or not. And if at the end of the day, if they say no, that just means that they're not ready right now. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, but you definitely can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So focus your time and energy when you're closing on those who are ready to get started. And if someone's not ready to get started, say, okay, no problem. Hey, I'll check back with you in a few months, see if you still feel the same way, and you keep it rolling. So, yeah, those are a few points I had. Did you have come to mind?
Yes, I remembered what I was going to say. I was just going to add too, we had talked a little bit at the class about the color personalities. I think that's kind of important too at closing, because then if you before the class gotten to kind of sit down and get to know some of the people that are in the class, and you know certain people's personalities, then when you close, you can close according to that. So as he mentioned, he needs a little more information. So you talk to Anthony before the class and you found out like, oh my goodness, he's very analytical. He's probably green. So, you know, when we sit down at that close, or even after, you know, you said your spiel and now you're one-on-one with that person, like, hey, so Anthony, you know, I understand that you're a type of person that wants, you know, detailed information, you know, here's some more resources that I'd like to send your way, you know, and help them along with their personality. Also just putting another personality in there. I feel like, let's say it's a yellow person and it's like, okay, so this is how you can help those in your family with using these oils and doing certain things. So I think that's kind of key too, to really understand different people's personalities. So that way when you're closing, you can cater towards them. Because there'll be certain things that I know for me, if a person says like, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you know, that's just not attractive to me at all. Like if you brought up anything about like, you can make money or you can do this or that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so like, you know, knowing people's personality is helpful too.
And then someone messaged me, so I do kind of want to touch on this. You know, just remember to be yourself and focus on your strengths. You know, so if you are introverted, be introverted. Like, be who you are, because people can tell when you're faking it if that's not really you. And the moment they feel that something is off, that's when they, you know, their fight or flight response immediately triggers. So, you know, if they feel like something's not right here, or I can't trust you, this person that's not being 100% authentic with me, then at that point we may have possibly lost them. You know, so if you're introverted, that's okay. You find a way to. Introverted doesn't mean that you still can't talk to a person. It just means that it might be a little bit more difficult in dealing with certain individuals. So if you need to send them a text message or send them information, and that's how you communicate back and forth rather than talking to them on the phone or sitting with them one-on-one in person, you can do that as well. But just remember that you want to be authentically yourself, so that, you know, people feel comfortable. That's one thing I think that was interesting that Tashina kind of touched on with people who are a little bit more extroverted. Typically extroverts are like, I don't care what other people think about me, like I'm going to be who I am regardless. And so people kind of vibe with that. There's a sense of authenticity there that makes people feel comfortable with those individuals, so that they don't feel like they're, faking it and this person is not really this way. And they're like, yeah, I want to join that. I want to be around that person. It makes their personalities attractive. And so, like I mentioned, if you're introverted, you don't have to be extroverted, because we can tell, right? When an introverted person is not being, themselves, you can tell.
And I would say also to use your support team. I would say too, there's been times when literally I'm like, I'm about to throw up because I'm not going to be able to finish this class, or I can't talk in front of any people. My anxiety is coming up. I can't, but if you have other leaders there, if you have other team members, that doesn't mean that you're not going to do it, but there might be certain times, or there's certain things where you're like, I need your support right now because this is overwhelming for me. Or maybe not even in a class setting. Maybe it's just simply, hey, my cousin that lives in DC is very interested. Can we three-way call and like you be there, and even just be there to jump in if for some reason I'm, coming back, or I'm don't have enough information. Like, just be there, and I'm just gonna let them know, like, hey, my friend yada yada is on this phone, and they're just going to help support me so you can get the information that you need. I think that's important too. It's okay to have limitations. Know your limitations, accept them. Don't, again, try to be some person that you're not, because that's just weird, and your friends know that's weird and that's not you. But use your team, use your support. Also use like things like the rallies, use events, bring them around those type of things, so all the pressure is not on you and you don't feel a certain way.
Yeah. So all in all, remember that people like to make their own decisions. Don't be afraid to hear no. I think that's sometimes why people don't close, right? They don't ask for the sale because they don't want to hear no. But remember that every no gets you closer to a yes. So you have to go through the no's. And as you're learning to close, you'll gradually get better and better, and those numbers will go up. So, if you're having classes with 10 to 12 people and you started off only being able to get one person to purchase a kit, as you get better at closing, that number will go up. So you might be 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10. And in baseball, they pay baseball players millions of dollars to be able to hit a ball 3 times out of 10, which on a basic average is a terrible average, but they pay them millions of dollars to do it. And network marketing can do the same. So just remember that you will get better the more that you do it, and you'll see better results over time.
Any questions from anyone? Yeah, I just want to, right before we close out, just reiterate again, and those are actually kind of things that I miss. I love collaborating with other people. I love making sure that I have another yellow blue there, or another blue with me, that can make sure that they are there to listen to people and have those relationship skills, and definitely mirror the personality, and do not talk very red to a person that's yellow, or make sure you're bringing the fun. And having a partner there to help you do that is always a great way to do that. So with that, if there's nothing else, if there's not any other questions or concerns, I think we can close the call. And we will need some assistance from the team in the group for next Sunday. First of all, with what topic we want to go over, and then see if there's someone that can actually drive the call, because some of us will either be at an airport or at a hotel a little bit earlier than usual, because we will be at the Young Living, at least be watching it with us, because we have the amazing, awesome opportunity to have a digital ticket for the first time. I cannot explain to you how excited I am about that, because I feel like I'm not in all the classes I want it to be, but I can go on there and I can get the replays of some of those classes I didn't get to register for. So we hope that everyone is gonna, get paid within the next few days and use some of that money to make sure that they get this information, and then put it on their agenda to be there next year with us if you're not going to be there. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.